and welcome to Kent Tonight Live on KMTV. I'm Kristen Hawthorne and here are your top stories on Monday the 8th of December. Fighting back, estate management company booted from Greenhive over skyrocketing bills.
28 days to pay, which was, brilliant for somewhere with so many families right at Christmas time. It's just ridiculous.
And one rep at a time. Anxiety-friendly gym to triple in size as demand grows.
Most people, especially starting out, haven't got a clue what they're doing. So they're going into a gym, seeing all this equipment, they haven't got a clue how it works, how to set it up.
Litter or lyrics? Luton Road sees trash being sorted by beatboxing bins.
There are little messages from the primary school and little beatbox notes from the primary school children in the bin. So as people put stuff in, they get a little message from the school.
Great show ahead of us this evening, but our top story tonight. A Greenhive estate has set an estate management company packing after seeing their bills double just before Christmas. Hundreds of households saw their bills skyrocket at St Clement's Lake, prompting residents to take control for themselves. But outgoing company Firstport say the money is used for looking after the area rather than for profit. Local democracy reporter Ollie Leader went down to find out more.
It's a grey day out at St Clement's Lake, but there is a glimmer of sunshine on the horizon for Gary Clements, who has finally managed to oust management company Firstport after hundreds of households saw their bills skyrocket across the Greenhive estate last November.
And the bill almost doubled from, just over 700 to just under 1,300. So we kind of knew something wasn't right. So I'd done some, rough sums, and I worked out they were massively overcharging, so there was something completely wrong, but they just wouldn't listen every time I told them that it was a problem.
Despite their bills going up by hundreds of pounds, residents here say the idea that money went back into the estate is simply for the birds.
We was having problems with the lake, just the way it was looking. We was having, problems with just general wear and tear. The gazebo roof was falling off a little bit. They were just patching it in roughly. The estate was looking a little bit tired, and the grass cutting was getting to be a little bit less existent. The bins were overflowing, and we had a lot of rubbish everywhere.
Teaming up with the residents is XL Property Management, who will be taking over from the housing giant later this month. They say they've already found £40,000 in savings in comparison with Firstport.
If I look at the estates that we've taken over from management companies, typically we're saving between 15 and 50% on the estates that we're managing. And we're able to do that whilst we're improving the service. So it does go to show that a number of estates across the whole of Kent are paying excessive fees and they're not getting value for money.
A spokesperson for the property management company said they take matters raised by residents seriously and they work with them to resolve problems as quickly as possible. They also say that service charges cover the actual cost of maintaining a development and are not a source of profit. The battle may be won here, but worries persist about whether their accounts could be left in debt by the outgoing company. But hope remains that they may at last be out of murky financial waters. Ollie Leader in Greenhive.
Now, all properties in Tunbridge Wells affected by a water outage should now have their supplies restored, according to provider South East Water. It comes a week and a half since the town lost its drinkable tap water after a repeated chemical fault at Pembury Treatment Works. Schools, businesses and health services were all forced to close and a boil notice remains in place. Our reporter Chloe Brewster is with us now to tell us more. So Chloe, surely things are back to normal now?
So all 24,000 properties that were affected in the outage have water back, but that water still isn't drinkable. The water is chemically safe, but the boil notice remains in place until further notice. So that means any water that you'd be using to drink, to brush your teeth and to cook, that all needs to be boiled before you consume it. But the bottled water stations are remaining open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. in all the usual places. You can see those details online, so you can choose whether you want to boil your water and cool it down, or whether you can go and get some bottled water for free.
And a question that many residents will probably be thinking, will South East Water be held responsible?
So South East Water say they are fully committed to compensating customers for the disruption. Sunday evening they released a statement saying, "We know how incredibly difficult and disruptive the last week has been for everyone. Dealing with a water outage combined with the current boil water notice is a major stress on our customers' daily lives, families and businesses." They say they want to ensure every customer receives exactly what they're entitled to.
And in terms of that, it's quite difficult to work out, but what sort of compensation are people in Tunbridge Wells entitled to? Give us a ballpark.
So under South East Water's guaranteed standards of service, it says that if they don't restore supply within 12 hours of an unplanned interruption, compensation will be automatically paid, plus another automatic payment for every 12 continuous hours that your water supply is not restored. That's £50 compensation plus another £50 for every subsequent 12 hours. It is quite complicated, so bear with me.
It is.
In addition to this, due to there also being a water boil notice in place for over the 48-hour threshold, you're entitled to compensation for this also. Obviously that is continuing as the boil notice continues. For a family that saw their water go off on Sunday at 12 a.m. and did not see it again until midday on Thursday, they're still operating under the boiling notice, so that is still continuing. But they may be entitled to around £600, but of course that is a ballpark figure, and I encourage people to check out the guaranteed standards of service to see how much exactly they might be owed.
Of course, and with people's bills coming in just recently, this might be quite a relief to those people who've been affected. Thank you so much, Chloe. Now, Kent Police have issued a renewed appeal to solve a more than 40-year-old murder in Tunbridge. 85-year-old Esme Hode was found dead in her home with injuries from a blunt object and a stab wound to the chest on the 8th of November 1982. The police had suspected an unknown couple driving a blue Mini Traveller and were thought to have stolen from Esme's home. However, after an extensive investigation, no further leads turned up. Now, 43 years later, Crime Stoppers is offering a £20,000 reward to anyone with information that leads to the arrest or conviction of those responsible. So take a good look at those pictures there. Next, Kent Police have recovered 2 stolen puppies, reuniting them with their mother after they were found separately in Woodham and Sidcup. The spaniels were amongst 4 taken during a burglary earlier this month, prompting a major search by officers and the owners. While 2 have now been returned home, the remaining puppies are still missing. Detectives say their investigation is ongoing and are urging anyone who may have seen the dogs to come forward. And next, Mind and Muscle Fitness in Folkestone will soon be tripling in size after seeing great success with its welcoming gym setup. With an aim to combat gym anxiety and help more to get into fitness, the gym has ended up having to cap their member numbers. Our reporter Chloe Brewster, who you just seen with me here now, got her trainers on and headed down to check it out for herself.
You go to the gym?
I've got a gym membership, put it like that.
For many people, going to the gym can be easier said than done.
I think it's a crazy situation that you go to a gym and you're kind of stressed.
The only thing that could be easier is when you can't always get on the equipment you need.
A lot of people, maybe there's a barrier in your head rather than actually in the gym. And if you go and you show up and you get busy, then I think they're much less intimidating than you first think.
At this gym, they want to make it easier for people to get fit.
Mind and Muscle Gym in Folkestone opened 2 years ago after owner Steve Brenner decided he wanted to create a safe space for people who may feel intimidated by the normal commercial gyms.
Geared towards health and wellness, the gym, just off Folkestone seafront, has seen such demand that it will soon be expanding into the building next door, tripling in size.
Most people, especially starting out, haven't got a clue what they're doing. So they're going into a gym, seeing all this equipment, they haven't got a clue how it works, how to set it up. By coming here, because we're a small member base and it's relatively empty all the time, We've always got staff on board, so we're here to do inductions, to do PT sessions, and just to help people in general figure out the machines. We've got a great app as well where we give all of our members a basic training plan to follow from start. So they're not coming in sort of trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing. There's always something there for them to follow.
Most gyms the size of the new building offer over 1,000 memberships, but here, Steve says keeping numbers down to 250 is paramount to keep the values of the business.
So the area we're in at the moment is going to be the upstairs gym area. It's going to be predominantly resistance machines. As you can see, we've already had big delivery over in the corner. This is our downstairs area, which is going to be more resistance machines, more plate-loaded equipment.
Steve says he hopes the new space will remain a judgment-free zone for local people wanting to get fit.
I mean, going from my own sort of story, if you like, I was very overweight and very unhealthy, as I mentioned, completely changed my life, and being able to do that for other people, as far as job satisfaction, it's fantastic.
Getting more people moving can never be a bad thing, so let's hope the expansion here helps others take that first rep towards self-improvement. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Folkestone.
Now, unfortunately, it's time for a quick break, but don't go anywhere as we have a great show coming up. Firstly, we'll be speaking to Kent Wildlife Trust as they'll be joining us to tell us about their new charity, an emergency fundraising appeal to save one of Britain's most vulnerable habitats, an ancient woodland. Then we'll have a round of the latest sports news from across Kent, starting with major success in rugby, as Gravesend achieved their 4th consecutive win after defeating Old Reggiton. All that and more. See you then. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight live here on KMTV. Now, the Kent Wildlife Trust has launched an emergency fundraising appeal to save an ancient woodland, one of Britain's most precious and most threatened habitats. The charity Wilder Woodlands campaign is part of the Big Give Christmas Challenge and aims to raise £75,000 between the 2nd and the 9th of December, so tomorrow. This would support a groundbreaking wilding project that they say could transform woodland conservation across the UK. And here to tell us more is Heidi from the Kent Wildlife Trust. Hello Heidi, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Can you first of all tell me what is the Wilder Woodlands campaign?
Yeah, so this is, we are Kent Wildlife Trust and we have launched this appeal in order to support our ancient woodland. We've got at West Blean, we've got the Bison Blean project, which is in partnership with Wildwood. And yeah, it's been fantastic so far. And what we really need is some more funds to keep the project going and to restore our ancient woodland.
And of course, those who have been following along will know that the Bison project has been really quite successful. Why are these sort of projects so important to Kent's ecosystem?
So projects like this are super important. We've already lost 70% of irreplaceable ancient woodlands in the UK in just the last century. So it's super vital that projects like this, especially groundbreaking ones like the Bison project, are really important because they lead the way for a more natural way of conserving wildlife. By having these animals, you are restoring natural processes, and that supports all sorts of wildlife, like the woodpecker, the Heath fritillary butterfly, which is a rare one that we have on site. And yeah, it's super important that we really focus on these new rewilding efforts.
And you said there 70% of it has been affected. So visually, what state are the ancient woodlands in, and what has led to this emergency appeal?
Well, a lot of ancient woodlands are very overgrown. If they don't have the funds to manage them, what you find is that all of the trees tend to be a monoculture. So all the same size and age, and a lot of the time the same species. And what we really want is to have species like the bison working their way through the woodlands, taking down some of the trees, and then you get a real variety of trees and also get more light onto the forest floor to allow for lots of species like butterflies and wildflowers and things like that. It's really important.
And then coming back to the Bison project then, I'm aware that maybe that helps because it kind of helps the biodiversity of the area. Can you explain maybe a bit about how that works and why these sorts of things are so important?
Yeah, so the bison are an amazing mega herbivore and an ecosystem engineer. So how they affect the woodland is using their sheer size and also their diet. They break through the trees, they pull trees down and debark them. This can leave standing deadwood or open up these nice sunny rides and glades. And also their dust bathing creates these great open areas that are great for invertebrates and reptiles. And even their dung is all across the woodland, and this is really spreading seeds across and nutrients. And we've even seen a rise in dung beetles using this dung, pulling it back into the soil. And this makes the ancient woodland more able to sequester carbon because the soil health has improved.
And then in terms of the fundraiser, for people who are maybe listening and thinking that they want to help that sort of thing, it's ending tomorrow. So can you give us where can people donate and what's the time limit on that?
So right now their donations will be doubled by the Big Give Christmas Challenge. And what they need to do is donate before midnight tonight. And you can do this on www.kwtg.uk/big-give. But just go on Kent Wildlife Trust website and it should pop up there. And yeah, if anyone could donate tonight, that would be fantastic, and their donation would be double the impact.
All right, sounds excellent, and hopefully we'll be talking to you in the future to find out what kind of things you've been doing with those donations. Fabulous. I'll speak to you soon.
Lovely. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Now it's time to take a look at all the sports news from across the county.
In rugby news, Gravesend Full sends it for their 4th consecutive win. At the weekend, they held a tremendous effort against Old Reigatian in the National 2's South East Division. With a cracking 52-19 score in Gravesend's favour, the team dominated the field early. From the get-go, barely a minute into the match, Josh Barnes came from deep into his team's half and scored some magnificent early points. Old Reigatian attempted to retaliate, but their first half efforts were thwarted by the G's players Rocky Sims, Ben Hope and Barnes yet again, after being awarded a bonus point before half-time, taking the scores to 31-7. The highlight of the match came from star player Josh McKenzie, who drilled past the Old Boys, breaking through their defensive line. The Old Boys strove not to concede and played a solid 20 minutes to earn themselves another 7 points. It wasn't enough though, as the final stretch of the match saw coordinated efforts by Ben Stelfox, George Bruce and Barnes yet again, who executed expert manoeuvres which awarded them bonus points and their victory. On Saturday, Gravesend play the Old Colfians at their home stadium. Now for cricket. Seam bowler Matt Quinn has managed to secure his spot in Kent's County Cricket Club for another 2 years, despite previously suffering hamstring, lower limb and back injuries. This news might come as a shock to cricket fans, as a 32-year-old former Essex player had unfortunately missed an entire season of play within his previous Kent contract. Hopes are high for the player, as he once held membership with the Kent Spitfires, who won the 2021 T20 Vitality Blast, as well as the One Day Cup the year after. Quinn himself says, "Kent is now my home, and it was an easy decision to remain part of the exciting project." And back to the pitch finally. Gillingham manager Gareth Ainsworth says he enjoyed his return to the pitch with a 0-0 draw at Colchester, marking his 2nd game back. The manager recently underwent open heart surgery, which caused him to miss 6 of his team's games while he recovered. Ainsworth noted the Colchester game as full-blooded, despite feeling that he had lost his voice previously. He celebrates his return to the football stage after such a long absence by noting, "I've got my mojo back a little bit as well." Jay Blakesley reporting.
Now, of course, don't forget you can keep up to date with all our latest stories across Kent by logging on to our website kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find all the reports, including this one, about inheritance tax on farmland worth over £1 million.
We all know Kent as the Garden of England, but with 70% of the county comprising farmland, the most in the south east, is it also the Farm of England too? This makes today a very important one for Kent's farmers, a year since a fatal blow to farmers' so-called prosperity. In November 2024, farmers from across the county descended on Whitehall in a mass protest against the government introducing an inheritance tax on farmland worth over £1 million. But that was a year ago. Now, with the second Labour budget upon us, I'm at Jael Baxter's, a fruit farm just south of Maidstone, whose owner, Clive Baxter, is urging the government to reconsider.
We're still trying to convince the government that they've made the wrong decision. I represent the NFU, and the NFU as a body gets what the government's trying to do, and actually in some ways we're supportive, and we're proposing a tax that gets to those people sheltering their wealth to a degree, saves small family farms, and actually gives the Treasury more tax income. So it's a win-win.
Set to take hold from April 2026, the 20% tax on farmland valued above £1 million could have grave effects on smaller and medium-sized farms.
We're a generational business, 4th generation coming up. I have triplet daughters who would like to be involved in the business in future. Policy, I think, is clumsy because it's 20% above quite a low threshold. I mean, people might think £1 million is an awful lot of money, but you soon invest that in, as I say, machinery and particularly farmland, it soon mounts up.
The Minister of State, Food Security and Rural Affairs confirmed, ahead of the budget, that the farmers' inheritance will not make a U-turn. Farmers like John are concerned this might be the start of further measures that, despite being designed to raise funds and distribute wealth, hit those with already little cash to spare.
A concern for us and probably quite a lot of farmers will be a potential mansion tax, because very often the farmhouse, which is in the middle of the farm, is historically quite a nice house. It's not something we regard as an asset, and we would really struggle to pay that extra money.
We asked the Treasury for comment, and they said the tax is meant to prevent people from sheltering wealth through untaxed farmland, as well as to raise funds to balance the books. And even if it does so, given the impact on these smaller farmers, it's important the juice is worth the squeeze. Megan Shaw for KMTV in Sevenoaks.
Will we be getting snow for the next coming days? Let's take a look at the weather to find out. Looks like Kent will see some cloudy skies and light rain this evening. Temperatures reaching highs of 14 degrees over in Dover, lows of 13. And tomorrow morning then things will remain around the same, with lows of 12 in Ashford and Tunbridge Wells. Again, some light showers. And then into the PM, we've got 13 degrees ranging to 14 degrees, rain across the county. Wednesday we've got 13 degrees, cloudy skies. Cloudy skies again on Thursday, 12 degrees, and a full cloudy skies, 11 degrees on Friday. No snow yet. And it's time for another break coming up. But again, we've got lots of exciting things coming up. We'll be taking another look at Ollie's report about an estate management company, Firstport, that was fired by a Greenhive estate after bills doubled in the lead up to Christmas. All that and more after this break. See you then. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight Live on KMTV. I'm Kristen Hawthorne and here are your top stories on Monday the 8th of December. Fighting back. Estate management company booted from Green Hive over skyrocketing bills. One rep at a time. Anxiety-friendly gym to triple in size as demand grows. And litter or lyrics. Luton Road sees trash being sorted by beatboxing gyms. Bins. Got mixed up between the bins and the gyms. A look back at our top story this evening. A Green Hive estate has sent an estate management company packing after seeing their bills double just before Christmas. Hundreds of households saw their bills skyrocket at St Clement's Lake, prompting residents to take control for themselves. But outgoing company Firstport say the money is used for looking after the area rather than for profit. Local democracy reporter Ollie Leader went down to see the state of the estate.
It's a grey day out at St Clement's Lake, but there is a glimmer of sunshine on the horizon for Gary Clements, who has finally managed to oust management company Firstport after hundreds of households saw their bills skyrocket across the Green Hive estate last November.
And the bill almost doubled from, just over 700 to just under 1,300. So we kind of knew something wasn't right. So I'd done some, rough sums, and I worked out they were massively overcharging. So there was something completely wrong, but they just wouldn't listen every time I told them it was a problem.
Despite their bills going up by hundreds of pounds, residents here say the idea that money went back into the estate is simply for the birds.
We was having problems with the lake, just the way it was looking. We was having, problems with just general wear and tear. The gazebo roof was falling off a little bit. They were just patching it in roughly. The estate was looking a little bit tired, and the grass cutting was getting to be a little bit less existent. The bins were overflowing, and we had a lot of rubbish everywhere.
Teaming up with the residents is XL Property Management, who will be taking over from the housing giant later this month. They say they've already found £40,000 in savings in comparison with Firstport.
If I look at the estates that we've taken over from management companies, typically we're saving between 15 and 50% on the estates that we're managing. And we're able to do that whilst we're improving the service. So it does go to show that a number of estates across the whole of Kent are paying excessive fees and they're not getting value for money.
A spokesperson for the property management company said they take matters raised by residents seriously and they work with them to resolve problems as quickly as possible. They also say that service charges cover the actual cost of maintaining a development and are not a source of profit. The battle may be won here, but worries persist about whether their accounts could be left in debt by the outgoing company. But hope remains that they may at last be out of murky financial waters. Ollie Leader in Green Hive.
Now, at 7 o'clock this evening, we'll have our latest Kent Tonight special, where we'll be taking a deep dive into the struggles those with special educational needs and disabilities face here in Kent when trying to access employment. While the latest figures show 1 in 5 Kent residents are currently unemployed, those figures are considerably higher for those with disabilities here in the county. Kit Taylor's been to 5 Acre Wood School in Luce to find out how they are trying to pioneer ways to ensure their students get a head start in the job market.
It's a weekday morning at the largest SEND school in the UK, and for 12-year-old Stanley, it's his first day at work.
It's a dream come true, really. My dad showed me about it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And he showed me that people can work on there. And I was like, one day I want to be on there. And today's finally, it's time!
5 Acre Wood are aiming to tackle unemployment for young disabled people by teaching them skills in industry settings, like this coffee shop on a train carriage.
only 5.1% of adults with a learning disability are in paid employment, and we really need to change that. We're not sat in a sterile classroom learning skills that aren't transferable. We are learning these skills, our pupils are, in a community cafe. It's a realistic environment, it's not a simulation. They have to learn that if they don't turn up with the correct uniform, they will not work. These are the skills that they need to be able to apply and learn in the real world.
But this coffee shop is just the beginning. Soon there will be an entire high street of businesses behind me where students can learn the skills they need to get into employment.
We know how to use the machines, we've learned how to make drinks properly, to clean tables, and we've learned to be a good team.
It helps with my confidence and my communication.
Well, it's good to manage money, like using a till.
The futures of these young people has been part of a national conversation, with Rachel Reeves announcing the Youth Guarantee as part of the autumn budget to support young people into work.
And funding our new Youth Guarantee, providing £820 million over the next 3 years to give...
But she didn't specify any measures for young disabled people in particular. I went to Parliament to ask Kent MP Lauren Edwards more.
We have almost 1 million young people who are not in education or work, and a lot of them do have SEND needs. It's really important that we're supporting people into the right job for them and not just trying to get them off the sort of job seeker books into any old role, because they will just end up back there again if it's not the right role. So I think we need to really listen to people about what they feel they can do, what they think they'd be well placed to do, and then give them the support so that they can really thrive in that role.
Back at 5 Acre Wood, Stanley is looking forward to his new job.
Any person that's got disabilities, no matter what, it's okay, because when I was younger I wasn't confident to show myself to the world, but now that I've got older I can finally let that go and I can show them who I am.
Kit Taylor for KMTV.
And you can watch the rest of that after Kent Tonight, that Kent Tonight special at 7 o'clock here on KMTV. But now, a woman from Kent who's been on quite the adventure for charity has helped to raise over £800,000 for Coppa a breast cancer awareness charity. Camilla Seton travelled with a large group of people through the Sahara Desert in what she has called an amazing experience. We spoke to her before the trek, and now after its completion, she has joined us again to tell us all about it. So what was it like? What was
amazing.
It like? Really?
Absolutely amazing. Just really inspiring, very humbling. Yeah, it was incredible.
And is it what you thought it would be?
I didn't really go with any preconceived ideas because I just didn't know what really to expect, but more than just, yeah, incredible.
And tell us a bit about why you did this and why it's so important to you.
I did this to be able to raise awareness for Copperfield. So it's a breast cancer charity that is creating awareness for Check Your Breasts, Check Your Chest, to raise money for young adults to be able to detect and save lives in young adults with cancer.
And I mean, what was it like? Did you experience any emotions when you were trekking? How long were you trekking for?
5 days. It
5
was
days.
100 kilometres over 5 days, although our Team Ashley, did 130 because we went up the wrong mountain. But yeah, raising a lot of money, experiencing emotions, every emotion you can imagine. Just listening to people's stories, these women, and there was 3 guys as well, just really inspiring.
And did you make any lifelong friends with those people?
All of Team Ashley.
Really?
Amazing, yeah. We will definitely be. We're already planning a reunion.
Excellent. And how did it feel to raise over £800,000? I mean, is that what you expected? It's nearly $1 million.
So there was 120 of us that were actually raising the money. Their target was 600,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the most that they've ever raised on any trek for Copperfield. It was just incredible, yeah.
And I mean, why is it so important to raise awareness for breast cancer? It is something that a lot of people have heard of, but what element of it were you trying to raise awareness for?
I think it was, when I was younger, I always used to think breast cancer would affect people who were older, women in menopause, affects men as well. But it's for young people. They go out to universities, go out to schools to make sure, because I'd say about 30% of the people who were actually on that trek were under 35. So very much making sure that it's a thing that we need to be able to create awareness for younger people to make it the norm to be able to check their chests.
And I mean, what did you learn on the journey? Did you learn anything new that maybe you didn't know before?
Well, it was like it is also it is actually trying to discover. You know, it was just so raw and so many vulnerabilities that just listening to people's stories was just what everybody went through. All different stories was just amazing to hear their journey, and that they can actually do that trek and smile in the face of adversity was for me really humbling.
I can imagine you said there was about 30 people there, over 30 people.
There was 120 people, but in each team we divided into 4 teams. So in my team, I think there was 31.
Okay, so a lot of people there who have, I'm assuming, have experienced all different things and know somebody who's experienced that.
Yeah.
What sort of stories did you hear, and what impact did that have?
The impact was me to be able to create more awareness and to be actually spread the message, and what Copperfield are doing. So doing it with more treks, being able to do it on social media, being part of the Copperfield family, all our reunions. It's just listening to all the people's stories. They all had different experience, whether they had actually been grieving, whether they'd gone through it themselves, or they had a family member.
And then just quickly tell us a bit about the charity itself. How is this different from other charities, and what kind of help does it provide to people affected?
Copperfield actually is quite a small charity, unlike sort of Macmillan, etc. But it's very much centred on being able to create the awareness and to go out for young people, detecting it at a very, very early stage, because detecting it at an early stage saves lives.
It's very, very important.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we've helped you on that journey, and we'll hear from you more on the sports show.
Thank you.
All right. We've got a quick break coming up now, but we'll be back here with more in a few minutes. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight Live here on KMTV. Now, the Sittingbourne UK paper band was shocked to learn that the Appleyard, their long-time base and social club, is closing. The news came right after their remembrance concert. The band was founded in 1883 by Edward Lloyd, who ran the local paper mill. They had used the Appleyard for 50 years through a verbal agreement to rehearse and store equipment in exchange for free concerts. But with the closure announced on November the 16th, their upcoming performances will now take place at St Mary, the Virgin's Church on December 14th and Borden Grammar School on December 17th. Next, a beloved park in Whitstable has been given a long-term protection from development in what volunteers call a historic land grab for nature. Duncan Down off the Old Fanet Way in Whitstable has been given village green status in what's been called a victory for the town. While large parts of the area, known as Goral Valley Nature Reserve, have already earned the status, the latest bid aims to register the majority of the remaining area of undeveloped downland. It will be given the same protections against future development as the areas already registered as village greens. And now, don't forget you can keep up to date with all our latest stories across Kent by logging onto our website kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find all our reports, including this one, about a gathering to pay respect for Holodomor, a famine that has stuck with the people of Ukraine for centuries. Apologies for that.
Holodomor, meaning death by hunger, was a famine that remains with many Ukrainian people almost a century since it happened. The people of Canterbury and Ukrainians have gathered at St. Peter's Methodist Church to pay their respects to those who died during the Holodomor in the 1930s.
I think it's important for us to remember because it helps us to acknowledge the lives, the millions of lives that were lost. And also it reminds us the importance of us not to allow such things to happen again. And Canterbury has a thriving Ukrainian community. They're part of our community, and I want us to be able to recognize and support them in this time.
This Holodomor experience is also made up of the Canterbury for Ukraine Ladies Choir, who have come to unite in strength through the power of music despite the terrible times of war.
Since getting to know the Ukrainians, I understand how important this history of the famine is. I myself am an Irish woman, and I grew up with stories of the Irish famine, so I can identify and empathise with those stories of the famine in Ukraine. And it is very much about having empathy with people.
As well as music, candles were also used to remember those who died many years ago.
So we keep this, it's a new tradition. We didn't have it before. It was brought to Ukraine by an American person to whom we are eternally thankful. He said actually once, "Your dad chose me." And those are the words which are put on his grave in Kiev when he died in 2004, I think.
The people of Ukraine and Canterbury hope the flames of the victims will always be in the hearts and minds of those who have come to remember Holodomor. Henry Luck for KMTV in Canterbury.
That was the Holodomor service covered by Henry Luck there. But now it's time for a quick look at the weather. Kent will see some cloudy skies then and light rain this evening. Temperatures reaching highs of 14 degrees over there in Dover. Into tomorrow morning then, ranging from 12 degrees to 13 degrees across the county. Wind speeds of 18 as well. Then into the PM, we've got a range of 13 to 14 degrees. With rain across the county, wind speeds of 20 there over in the west of the county. Cloudy skies on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. 13 on Wednesday, 12 and 11 on Thursday then and Friday. Now, would you be more likely to throw your rubbish in the bin if it could beatbox in thanks? This is a new initiative backed by both Medway Council and Ideas Test that aims to combine tunes and trash to discourage children from littering. But will it work? Our reporter Megan Shaw went down to Luton Road to see if it's resourceful or rubbish.
Thank you for giving me some litter.
Say hello to Chatham's first bin that's both on the beat and ready to drop the beat, rewarding diligent litter pickers.
And here is the beatboxing bin. This is how it works. You throw away your litter.
Just beats emptying the trash in the
And the bin lets you know. It says thank you.
Funded by Arts Council England, the bins are part of an initiative to boost creativity among children and foster good environmental habits for life.
This project is a project between Medway Council and Ideas Test. And it's a creative health project, so it's a focus on Luton and Brompton, two specific areas, thinking about how creativity can help improve health, either from a physical perspective, well-being perspective, or an environmental perspective. It started with a consultation with community members about what, particularly for Luton, what it is that they wanted to see change. And they articulated that litter was a big thing, and they also articulated that if we were going to think about creative ways to solve or help litter issues, that actually a good place to start was with young people.
The bin's 40 different voices, among beatboxer Rupert Aldridge, include children from local schools, Luton Primary and Phoenix Primary School. Getting children excited about the bins through beatboxing sessions played a key role.
Teacher who taught us how to beatbox, we come on most Wednesdays, where then when we beatbox and have some beatboxing battles.
I love beatboxing first of all, and also it's good for the environment, like Martin said, so we can pick up litter and just help the world.
It's a joint project from Ideas Test and Medway Council, but our 8 singing bins along Luton Road, more trash than treasure, where Medway already has significant problems on its plate.
People's idea of what art and culture is different for everybody. It's like not everyone's going to be inspired by going to a theatre or painting or something like that. But it's all forms of culture. I think music's particularly great at involving lots of people, and obviously like kind of that beatbox culture comes out of a culture which isn't from privilege and all those kind of things. So I think it's a great way in really.
And with the bin ready to freestyle, there was only one thing left to do. Celebrate, of course, with a beatboxing match that only rappers welcome on Luton Road for the foreseeable. Megan Shaw for KMTV in Chatham.
Please do not pollute the earth.
It's a fantastic story there. Some actually very good beatboxing from the children as well. But now in Formula One news, Lando Norris has won his first F1 championship. But did you know that he started his career on tracks here in Kent? This includes Brands Hatch and Buckmore Park, and we can hear more from the managing director at Buckmore Park now.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. You know, it was one of those moments where obviously you go into the race thinking, you know, this could happen now, you know, another Brit becoming world champion. Obviously, with any race, anything can happen right up until the end. So, you know, you're never sure, but fantastic result at the end of the day. In terms of juniors coming into the sport or people, you know, really looking to get into F1, it's not just Lando, you know, there's been other people that have come through, you know, more recently, even people like Ollie Behrman, you know, newest rookie into it, came through with us. But in the past, it's been all about those personalities and the Brit drivers that have, you know, really kind of fueled motorsport, if you excuse the pun, in this country.
And of course, right after the show, we'll be taking a more in-depth look from across the county at the sports news. Whether it's Gill's 0-0 draw against Colchester or the latest in a niche sport, squash. We'll dive into Canterbury's Joe Mager, earned himself an award for how he's improved the sport's local tournament. I'm joined now by the show's producer and presenter, Finn McDermott. Did I say that right?
It is 0-0.
Nil. Okay.
0-0 is close. I'll have to give you 0-0. That is quite close, but it is. It is.
You were close
0-0.
to interrupting me there to help.
I was about to. You could see me just go, and I stopped myself.
Right. So tell us more about Joe then and the award.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. I don't know if you've played much squash before. It's tennis with a wall involved, and the main objective. Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. Maybe our viewers out there have played some squash. Often played at leisure centres. It's a really fun game. Very similar to tennis, but with a much kind of denser ball. Some people have described it as kind of bouncier tennis. But what Joe has done is I believe he did a certain type of tournament in Wimbledon, and what that tournament does is it's called a graded tournament, and it's basically like if you and I were to go and enter a squash tournament right now, unless you've been moonlighting as a secret squash expert, we would both be placed in beginner categories, because if sometimes in these tournaments you just go in and you're put into a kind of free-for-all. You could be playing against a pro, but what Joe's done is he's bringing more of these graded tournaments to Kent. So the pros, you can see some of the players there could go up against the pros, but then beginners can also have a great competitive experience as well. And what that's done is that's won him the Unsung Hero Award at Squash England, which is a big award to win there. So very great. He's very happy with it. He argues he shouldn't really be an unsung